Hello and welcome back to Gale Blade News. In the business section, we will be looking at a pub and various businesses who do not look forward to opening for this, what is known as Super Saturday. Back in normal times, on match days, the pavement outside the Tollington Arms would be as crowded as a tube station. The pub is right next to the Emirates Stadium, Arsenal's home ground, and is a popular sports pub. But although the Gunners are on the pitch this Saturday, the doors will remain firmly shut. The government has given pubs in England the go-ahead to reopen from the 4th of July if they follow a strict set of social distancing rules, but last week the Tollington's manager, Martin Whelan, posted a message on social media announcing it would stay closed. "We cannot in good conscience open the pub when contracting a deadly virus is still possible under these guidelines," he tweeted. The decision was met with a flood of support on Twitter, with customers praising it as a wise and courageous decision. Only a handful were scornful, urging them to be less cautious and open up. None of the other 8 bars Mr. Whelan runs around London will be opening either. Some of my staff had this virus, and when you've seen them at death's door, you take a different point of view, Mr. Whelan says. It is a very sobering position to be in. Once the virus is circulating at lower levels in the population, and there's a proper track and trace scheme up and running, then he would consider reopening, he says. In the meantime, he couldn't look his staff in the eye and ask them to come back with confidence. Nobody likes losing money, but you have to have a conscience too. Britain's pubs were among the hardest hit businesses when lockdown came. Many had to pour away beer that grew stale, throw away food that couldn't be served, board up premises and furlough staff. Now social distancing rules have been reduced from 2 metres to 1+, and the government has set out conditions, including taking the names and contact details of customers to mitigate some of the risks. The big pub chains, including JD Wetherspoons and Enterprise Inns, are opening almost all of their sites, with modifications including plastic screens, one-way systems, reduced seating, and apps for ordering food and drink. Unique venues. Nevertheless, only around half of the UK's pubs will be open this weekend, according to a survey by the industry body UK Hospitality. Pubs in Scotland and Wales haven't yet been allowed to reopen, accounting for a lot of those remaining shut, but still a large number of pubs in England won't be welcoming back customers either. For some, it simply isn't economically viable to do so. Chris and Liz Smith run the Chambers, which used to host live music and serve food in a packed basement in Folkestone. "We're quite a unique venue. We offer a bit of everything, but music is the key for us functioning," says Miss Smith. Without music, they don't think the atmosphere would work, but there are also the insurmountable problems of a single narrow staircase down to the basement and a narrow corridor to the bathroom. "We don't want to open it if we can't do it properly," says Mr. Smith, but he recognises there is a possibility they may never be able to reopen at all. Other pubs can accommodate guests more easily, like the Prospect in Exeter, which even with reduced seating can manage space for 78 outdoors in the fresh air. But landlord Suzanne Avery Cameron is apprehensive about what the Prime Minister has dubbed Super Saturday, after all these weeks of people being cooped up indoors. "There's a lot of expectations," he says. "It'll be worse than Black Friday." So the Prospect won't open until the 9th of July, when she hopes things will have calmed down. "We've missed out on 4 months. One weekend is not going to make a difference. Moreover, the opening hours will be weather permitting, since they are only serving customers at al fresco. One of the large chains, Green King, is also only opening its pubs after the weekend, not because of concerns over unruly behaviour, but to ensure staff and facilities are ready. It wasn't a case of avoiding the hysteria, more making sure the teams were ready," says Carl Gibson, who manages Green King's trip to Jerusalem pub in Nottingham. He's taken down the boards protecting the pub during lockdown, which they decorated with messages of support for the NHS, and is preparing for a gradual return, spread out over 10 days from Monday. But for some city centre pubs, especially in Nottingham, which is in striking distance of Leicester, where pubs remain closed due to the local lockdown, there is a shadow of concern over this weekend's opening. The police have warned that pub goers shouldn't treat it as an excuse for excess, Tony Cockcroft of the British Security Industry Association says security firms have seen a wave of inquiries ahead of the weekend. We're looking at levels akin to a bank holiday weekend, he says. Extra security staff are likely to be needed if queues from outside pubs and possibly to administer and explain the new regulations to customers as they enter. But Kate Nichols, Chief Executive of UK Hospitality, points out that this is all very familiar territory for a lot of city centre landlords accustomed to managing antisocial behaviour at busy weekends. Moreover, for the time being, volumes are likely to remain much lower than usual. In recent weeks, we've seen what happens when you don't have facilities open. There is that pent-up demand, she says. You have illegal raves in Manchester, you have crowding at beauty spots. Reopening the pubs, bars and restaurants could be part of the solution, not part of the problem. We can provide for people who want to get out of the house and make sure there's social distancing policed on premises. So what do you think of the reopening of businesses and pubs, especially over this, what is dubbed as Super Saturday? I've heard opinions from people saying it's really stupid of opening on a Saturday because people are going to go into excess anyway. They don't have the consequences of having to go into work the next day with a hangover. If this had been a Monday or a Tuesday, you'd have less people attending and people would come back slower. I've got also other people saying that these businesses have suffered for so long that they kind of need a massive quick boost to increase their profitability. Whatever you think, leave your comments down below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe.